At the Lu Yun sect, Nangong Wan has turned into a young child. Han Li, at the early Nascent Soul stage, was challenged by a late Nascent Soul stage cultivator, who sent several letters demanding a one-on-one duel. This left Han Li speechless. As the Great War between Tianan and the Mulan came to a close, Han Li set off to return to the Lu Yun sect. Several months had passed since the border war, and it was confirmed that the two Wu people coveted both Tianan and the Mulan lands. The leaders of Tianan decided not to delay any longer. Immediately, they began extremely intense negotiations with the Mulan. At first, the Mulan demanded 1/3 of Tianan's territory, otherwise, they would risk the annihilation of their tribe. To continue the war with Tianan, for a time, the two sides were completely unable to reach an agreement. But as large numbers of Mulan mortals gathered at the grassland border, and the two Wu people also began to openly hunt down the Mulan spell masters, the few divine masters in charge of the Mulan tribe could only gradually make concessions. After all, compared to the future isolation of the Tianan cultivators, the threat of the Mulan's annihilation was imminent. Their Mulan tribe and the two Wu people were mortal enemies with a blood feud spanning tens of thousands of years. There was absolutely no possibility of compromise or surrender. After several rounds of concessions, they finally allowed them to keep the two nations they had occupied, was used to settle the Mulan people. Meanwhile, the Tianan side would take the mortals from these countries and relocate them all to other nations. The three great powers, in turn, each carved out some territory to compensate the 9 nations alliance for their losses, and to settle the cultivators and sects from those countries. Of course, in return, the Mulan clan, under the Tianan Pact, when facing an invasion from the two Wu people, the Mulan spell masters must resist with all their might. The various powers of Tianan would provide assistance from the side, with both sides joining forces to fight the enemy. In this way, although the Mulan clan gained a land to rest and recuperate, they also shouldered the same responsibility the 9 nations alliance had before. They had to be ever vigilant against the attacks of the two Wu people, and because there were only 2 countries, the various powers of Tianan didn't have to worry about the Mulan people growing too strong because of this, and turning on them later. After all, the amount of cultivation resources available determines how powerful a faction can become, and although the Mulan clan was confined to 2 countries, they had at least avoided the crisis of extinction. And when facing the two Wu people, they were no longer fighting alone, having gained a powerful ally in Tianan. For the time being, both sides were quite satisfied with this arrangement. However, some other things related to Han Li also happened. One of them, naturally, was about Han Li killing the partner of the Yinluo sect's master, which made this demonic cultivator from the Jin state refuse to let the matter rest. He sent messages several times, demanding a one-on-one battle with Han Li. But after Han Li received the letters of challenge, he just rolled his eyes, and immediately turned the jade slips to ash, showing absolutely no intention of replying or accepting. A late-stage Nascent Soul cultivator, challenging an early-stage Nascent Soul cultivator like him. It was truly shameless of the other party to even come up with that. Han Li wasn't some hot-blooded young brat, so he naturally scoffed at it, and paid it no mind at all. Later, after the Mulan tribe and the Heavenly South successfully negotiated for peace, it's unknown what this master of the Yinluo sect discussed in detail with the Mulan divine masters, or how they talked it over, but he surprisingly left immediately with his subordinates, and was said to have returned to the Jin state for good. This allowed Han Li, who had been constantly on edge, to finally breathe a huge sigh of relief. The other matter concerned the ancient lamp that Han Li had seized, the Mulan tribe's heritage treasure, the Yuanming lamp. After the peace talks, several divine masters from the Mulan tribe all stated that this lamp was an ancestral item passed down through their Mulan generations, and absolutely could not fall into the hands of an outsider. They immediately wanted to demand it back from Han Li. Han Li, however, did not intend to refuse outright. He immediately made an exorbitant demand. He told the other party to use a large quantity of steel bars to trade with him. Unfortunately, the Mulan people didn't have many of these steel bars, and couldn't gather such a large quantity at all. They only had a small piece. Reluctantly, Han Li could only let them use other rare materials as a substitute. With that, he returned the ancient lamp. He had no real intention of keeping this lamp. Although this ancient lamp was magical and profound, it was a hot potato. For every day it remained in his possession, he would be watched by the numerous Mulan spell masters for another day. If this continued, something bad was bound to happen sooner or later. It was best to get rid of it quickly. Han Li glanced at the storage pouch at his waist, after he returned the ancient lamp. Although he didn't mention anything, When the Mulan spell masters delivered the materials, they also returned the 2 captured items, the purple cloud cape, and the flower basket ancient treasure. They were sent back together. It seemed these Mulan people understood the situation very well. If they wanted to stay in Tiannan for the long term, they naturally couldn't afford to offend high-level cultivators like him. The purpose of returning these treasures was to prevent him from holding any grudges. After all, he was a cultivator who, at such a young age, already possessed such incredible abilities. Even those Mulan divine masters were somewhat wary of it. And as soon as she reclaimed the ancient fortress, Han Li gave the Zicheng Do to Yin Yue. Although this woman, only when she appeared in her demon fox form, was able to use this treasure, but this woman had performed many meritorious deeds recently, and Han Li was not a stingy person, so naturally, she had to show her appreciation. This Zicheng Do suits you very well, so it couldn't be better as a reward. It's unknown if it was because they and the Mulan people, the news of their alliance had spread, that those 2 Wu people suddenly began to hesitate. Although they had moved towards the edge of the grasslands and sent a large number of cultivators, they did not launch an attack immediately. They just silently observed the actions of the Tiannan and Mulan people, looking as if they wouldn't cause trouble anytime soon. But the more the 2 Wu people acted this way, the more Reverend Jiayang and Long Han and the others felt their hearts grow heavier. The other party was being so cautious. It seemed their ambitions were not small, and they most likely truly had designs on Tiannan. Seeing that this standoff could be a protracted one, the disciples of the various Tiannan sects could not be bogged down here for long. After some immediate discussion, they decided to implement a method similar to the one the 9 Nations Alliance used, a similar kind of rotation system. All the sects sent some of their elite disciples to be stationed in rotation in the area bordering the Mulan nations. In the event the Muchu people launched an attack, and the Mulan people found themselves in a difficult situation, these people could naturally go and provide some support. The remaining cultivators could then return to their respective sects. Han Li, as an elder of the Lu Yun sect, and that senior brother Lin naturally had many things to handle. It was only when most of the disciples had already left that he was finally able to get away and return to the Lu Yun sect. As for Lu Luo, he still had some matters to handle, so he would be delayed for some time. Naturally, Han Li set out on his return journey first. Han Li did not delay in the slightest along the way, using his wind-riding chariot to speed up his journey. This cut his travel time by almost half. But once he entered the state of Shi, Han Li put the chariot away, to avoid being too conspicuous. Now, a distance of over 30 miles was a distance Han Li could cover almost in the blink of an eye. When Han Li saw the silhouette of Yuanmeng Mountain in the distance, an image couldn't help but appear in his mind. Nangong Wan's beautiful face. A look of joy spread across his face. What's going on? In a secret chamber within the Lu Yun sect, known to few, Han Li stared intently at the silver-haired elder, his face, repeatedly filling with a menacing aura, on the verge of exploding with rage. As soon as he returned to the Luo Yun sect, before he could even make it back to his cave abode, he was intercepted midway by the silver-haired elder, and was brought to this secret chamber filled with a sinister, cold aura. Here, Han Li was astonished to see Nangong Wan, but the Nangong Wan at this moment had transformed into a 7- or 8-year-old girl, sealed within a wall of ice that emanated wisps of cold air, her eyes shut tight, completely unconscious. How could this not fill Han Li with shock and fury? If only you had returned half a month earlier, junior brother. Sister Nangong's incident happened just half a month ago. If you had been here, perhaps you could have prevented this from happening. However, for the time being, your wife is not in any mortal danger. She has just been afflicted with a demonic soul-sealing curse. This method is the only way to delay the curse's onset. The silver-haired elder gave a bitter smile, and slowly began to explain. The soul-sealing curse? How could one be afflicted by such a sinister curse? Wasn't this secret technique lost long ago in the Tiannan region? Could it be? Hearing the elder's words, Han Li was stunned at first, but then he immediately seemed to recall something, and a look of astonishment appeared on his face. Seeing that Han Li seemed to have guessed something, the silver-haired elder did not question him further. Instead, he recounted what happened to Nangong Wan, telling Han Li every single detail. It turned out that one morning half a month ago, Nangong Wan, as she always did, went to a small mountain near her cave residence, to collect the yin dew of heaven and earth to cultivate the soon new reincarnation art. But unexpectedly, as soon as she arrived, a man in a black robe suddenly appeared. This man didn't say a word. The moment he saw Nangong Wan approach, he immediately attacked with an exceptionally powerful demonic technique, even shattering several of Nangong Wan's protective treasures. Greatly alarmed, Nangong Wan cried out for help, and did her utmost to flee back toward her cave residence. In the end, by the time the silver-haired elder and the Luo Yun sect disciples heard the commotion and rushed over, Nangong Wan was unable to dodge in time. Her opponent lightly tapped a finger between her eyebrows, and she immediately collapsed. The silver-haired elder was horrified. He immediately led all the disciples to attack the man in the black robe. When that man saw so many Luo Yun sect disciples appear, he had no intention of fighting them head-on. After a cold sneer, he tossed a jade slip onto the ground, and once again fled with lightning speed. Absolutely no one could catch up to him. The silver-haired elder couldn't worry about anything else. He hastily brought Nangong Wan back to the sect and immediately began treatment. But only then did he discover Nangong Wan had been struck by the legendary Wine Soul Curse. This was a forbidden secret art from the Tianan demonic path that had been lost for many years. Once this curse is forcefully cast upon someone, their 3 spiritual souls and 7 mortal souls are slowly sealed away. Then, depending on the sealed person's cultivation level, their soul will, after a period of time, gradually dissipate under the seal's effect. That person will then become a mere walking corpse. This was originally a unique method used by the demonic path to deal with their enemies. It could be described as exceptionally vicious. As soon as the old man recognized this curse, he was naturally shocked to the core. For a moment, he was at a complete loss, with no way to break it. But just at that moment, Nangong Wan woke up on her own, after learning she had been afflicted with the Wine Soul Curse. Although Nangong Wan's face was incredibly pale, she immediately thought of a temporary emergency solution to the crisis. She decided to use a certain divine ability from the Pure Maiden reincarnation art to temporarily seal herself with icy energy. This kind of seal would not only place Nangong Wan's body in a completely sealed state, but also her very soul. The onset of the soul curse was also greatly delayed, so the Nangong Wan who appeared before Han Li ended up looking like this. After the elder finished saying these words, he took out the jade slips and handed them to Han Li. One was left by the black-robed man who attacked the junior sister. The other was from before the junior sister cast the sealing spell on herself. A message she specifically left for you, junior brother. Go ahead and take a look, junior brother. This senior brother Chen said with a sigh. Han Li took the 2 jade slips with a grim expression, and after a brief glance, he first inspected the jade slip that Nangong Wan had left for him. A moment later, Han Li, who had immersed his spiritual sense into the jade slip, had a strange expression on his face. It was a mixture of worrying, and yet also some relief. This caused the one on the side, the silver-haired elder watching Han Li, to be taken aback. This jade slip was from Nangong Wan, and she had specified it was to be given to Han Li. The elder had not secretly looked at it beforehand. After all, tampering with a jade slip, to make someone discover it had been secretly viewed, is a very easy thing to do. The elder wouldn't, over such a trivial matter, do something so unwise. As Han Li's divine abilities were revealed and his fame grew, Han Li's status in his mind was naturally incomparable to what it once was. After finishing reading Nangong Wan's jade slip, Han Li took a deep breath. Then he lowered his head to read another blood-red jade slip. But after just a moment, Han Li's expression turned incredibly grim. Finally, in a fit of extreme anger, he suddenly rubbed his hands together. A ball of purple fire erupted from his hands. This jade slip was instantly turned into a wisp of smoke by the fire, and vanished without a trace. When the silver-haired elder saw this, he was horrified. Although these jade slips weren't meticulously crafted to so casually reduce one to nothing, he knew he could never accomplish such a feat, making it look so easy. It seems the rumors about this junior brother Han are mostly true. His divine abilities even surpass those of a mid-Nascent Soul cultivator. He really managed to recruit for the Drifting Cloud sect, a truly extraordinary individual. Just as the elder was reeling in shock, Han Li pondered for a moment before asking, Senior Brother Chang, you've also come face to face with that ambusher. What did he look like? And what was his cultivation level? Let's see if he's the same person I know of. I did see what he looked like. He was quite handsome, a young-looking man with well-defined features. As for his cultivation level, he seemed to have used some kind of spell to conceal it. As your senior brother, my abilities are too low. I was unable to see through it. But he must be at least at the mid-Nascent Soul stage or higher. Otherwise, he wouldn't have defeated fellow Taoist Nangong so easily, the old man said without a second thought. A young man? Han Li's eyes flickered. He was a little surprised. Correct, but for him to have such a cultivation level, he must be just like you, junior brother, having consumed some spiritual pills and wondrous medicines. Or, perhaps his cultivation technique has a miraculous youth-preserving effect. but 9 times out of 10, he's older than you, junior brother. After all, for someone like you, junior brother, to be able to form a nascent soul at such a young age is considered extremely rare in the entire world. However, junior brother, I've also read the jade slip he left for you. Since he wants you, junior brother, to bring the thunderclap bamboo magical treasure, to meet him at Profound Heaven Peak. Could this person really be a demonic cultivator from the state of Jin? Junior brother, do you truly possess a supreme treasure refined from thunderclap bamboo? The old man couldn't help but ask. I can't be entirely certain if it was that person, but even if it wasn't him, they must be related to him. That person should be a demonic cultivator from the Yingluo sect of the Jin Kingdom. There's no mistake. I originally thought they wanted to take revenge on me, for their fellow sect members from the border war, and so on. But I never expected. It turns out they had set their sights on my thunderclap bamboo artifact. It seems that even if I hadn't killed their accomplice, they would have come for me anyway. This time, I've dragged Wanner into this. As for the thunderclap bamboo artifact, your junior brother does indeed have one. After Hanli calmly said these words, the anger on his face faded, but the coldness in his eyes grew even sharper. That explains it then. With a treasure like the thunderclap bamboo that specifically counters demonic arts, no wonder they were tempted. Besides, they aren't cultivators from our Tianan region, so they act with even less restraint. How about this? Why don't I ask some other friendly cultivators to take action together, to search for this person? I refuse to believe it, that within the territory of our Lu Yun sect, these demonic cultivators from the Jin Kingdom can really act so lawlessly, the silver-haired elder said to the black-robed man, standing at the gate of the Luo Yun sect. The matter of him injuring people is a huge headache. That was actually a sincere suggestion. Force won't be necessary. If this person is who I think he is, his cultivation is profound and unfathomable. He is a figure comparable to Divine Master Mulan. Ordinary cultivators who encounter him can't do anything to him at all. On the contrary, it might even provoke his violent nature. What's more, he also has the method to remove the soul-sealing curse. I don't want to alert him unnecessarily. Hanli shook his head, and said slowly, comparable to Divine Master Mulan. Could he be a late-stage nascent soul cultivator? If that's the case, junior brother, you certainly cannot go alone. It's too dangerous. We should ask the Longhan couple to come and help, the silver-haired elder said, horrified. Although fellow Taoists Longhan and Fungbin could deal with this person, a round trip would take at least 3 to 4 months. There isn't enough time. In the jade slip, that person only left me 2 months' time. He clearly estimated my return date. It's just that he didn't expect me to return so quickly. Let me think this matter over carefully, and then decide how to handle it. But the most important thing is, we must find a way to get the soul-sealing curses. Method of removal. Hanli took a deep breath, and said calmly, all right, junior brother, if you need any help, just ask. All the disciples in the sect are at your disposal. Seeing this, the silver-haired elder could only nod in agreement. Thank you, senior brother. According to Zhao Wanner's jade slip, this divine ability that he cast can theoretically delay the onset of the soul-sealing curse for nearly 100 years, but no one has ever tested its actual effect. I'm honestly a little worried. Hanli gazed at the lifelike little girl inside the ice wall, muttering as a look of concern appeared on his face. Junior brother, you needn't worry so much. From what I see of Sister Nangong, she does not have the face of one destined to die young. She will definitely overcome this tribulation. How about this? Starting today, I will go look through some ancient texts to see if I can find a way to break this vicious curse. Perhaps we won't need to find that black-robed person after all. After thinking for a moment, the elder said, I will have to trouble you then, senior brother. If senior brother has no objection, I would like to stay here alone for a while. I hope senior brother won't mind. Hanli suddenly said with a forced smile. That's only natural. I'll head to the library pavilion first. Junior brother, you spend some time with your wife. The silver-haired elder was stunned for a moment, but he immediately spoke with understanding. Then, with Hanli watching, the elder exited the secret chamber and closed the stone door behind him. Suddenly, only Hanli was left in the room, and the little girl in the ice jade. Only then did Hanli turn his head to look at the ice jade. A lonely expression appeared on his face, and he let out a long sigh. For a full day and a night, Hanli stayed in this secret chamber without leaving. When the silver-haired elder returned from the library pavilion, he saw that Hanli was still inside, and couldn't help but worrying a little. After waiting for half a day, he really couldn't rest easy. Just as he was about to break down the door, Hanli finally came out with a calm expression. Junior brother, are you all right? The elder couldn't help but ask, a look of astonishment on his face. Seeing the elder waiting outside the door, Han Li's heart warmed. He said apologetically, "I'm fine. I was just inside thinking about strategies to face the enemy. Thank you for your concern, senior brother. From now until the deadline that person mentioned, there is still 1.5 months. I plan to go into seclusion to prepare. If there is nothing important, senior brother, you don't need to look for me. Is going into seclusion for such a short time useful now?" The silver-haired old man was stunned upon hearing this, and found it a bit strange. "I obtained some rhizomes on my trip this time, and am preparing to re-refine my original magic treasure. This way, when I face enemies in the future, it will also have a bit more power. It shouldn't take too much time." Han Li replied vaguely, "I see. Junior brother, feel free to go into seclusion. I will instruct the disciples in the sect not to disturb you." The old man finally understood, and readily agreed. "Also, since this ice soul has formed, I won't rashly pry it away. Otherwise, it might cause some harm. But I will set up a few magic formations around the secret chamber to ensure Wanner is safe. So I'll have to trouble senior brother to look after her a bit." Han Li said solemnly, "Junior brother, you can rest assured about that. Regarding fellow Taoist Nangong, what happened to her occurred in our Luo Yuan sect. I, as the great elder, can't shirk the blame for it anyway. I have already designated this place as a forbidden area. I will not allow any ordinary disciples to come here. Your wife's safety will absolutely not be a problem," the silver-haired elder said without a second thought. It seems he had also considered this issue. "If that is the case, then I can rest assured. There is no time to waste. I will set up the formation first, and then immediately enter seclusion," Han Li said as a glint of golden light flashed in his eyes. Half a day later, Han Li left the elder's place, and returned to his own cave residence. To his surprise, Mu Pailing had somehow learned of his return, and was actually waiting for him outside his cave residence. A hint of surprise flashed across his face, but he still invited her into the cave residence. "Is Sister Nangong all right? I heard she was injured by someone, but there has been no definite news. I have been worried sick ever since." As soon as Mu Pailing entered the main hall, before she even sat down, she asked anxiously, "What? Are you and Wanner on good terms?" After Han Li sat down in the main seat, he asked calmly, "Yes, we get along very well. Sister Nangong has a very good temperament. During the time that young master was away, he even guided my cultivation many times, and I benefited greatly," Mu Pailing said without hesitation. Han Li was silent for a moment, then gave a bitter smile. "Hearing you say that, I should be happy. But Wanner has been afflicted with the soul sealing curse, and is trapped within a seal. I really can't bring myself to be happy. But we haven't seen each other for just a few months, and your cultivation has clearly improved again. It's clear you haven't slacked off in your training, and that makes me very happy. I'm about to go into seclusion for over a month, to try and find a way to break Wanner's vile curse. The soul sealing curse, it's actually that kind of demonic curse. This is troublesome. Young master, you must have a way, right?" Mu Pailing was startled, and couldn't help but ask, "What way is there?" "I can only start with the person who cast the curse. As long as he falls into my hands, I have my ways to make him obediently spit out the method to break the curse." Han Li's expression suddenly turned grim as he spoke. Hearing this, Mu Pailing could only furrow her brows in worrying. Just then, that nominal disciple of Han Li's, Liu Yu, also came to visit. Besides coming to pay respects to her master, Han Li, she also asked about Nangong Wan. With her cleverness, she had long since deliberately curried favor with Nangong Wan, her future master's wife. When Han Li saw that she had also come, he didn't intend to hide anything. He briefly explained the matter of the wine soul curse once again. Liu Yu was also moved upon hearing it. However, with her level of cultivation, she was naturally just as helpless. Han Li was in no mood to talk much with the two women. After a short chat, he started to see them out. The two women naturally wouldn't, at a time like this, cause any trouble for Han Li. They immediately and obediently walked out of the cave dwelling. However, just as they stepped outside the entrance, Liu Yu, with a flirtatious glance, suddenly said to Mu Pailing with a smile, "Fellow Taoist Mu, although you are the master's concubine, it seems you're still a virgin, aren't you? No wonder the master treats you like a guest. With your beauty, fellow Taoist Mu, could it be that the master is still not moved? Or is there some other secret to it? The new master's wife, Nangong, surpasses you in beauty. You'd better watch out for yourself." "What do you mean by that?" Mu Pailing was stunned for a moment. Her face flushed red as she tried to defend herself. But the person before her just chuckled lightly. then transformed into a streak of light and flew away through the air. Mu Pilan stood there dazed for quite a while, before stomping her foot in frustration and flying away as well. Once Han Li saw the two women leave, he finally had a moment to inspect the courtyard and its furnishings. Everything was normal. Han Li immediately took some artifact refining materials and entered the secret chamber. He was going to use his Nascent Soul Fire to infuse Geng Gold into the 36 flying swords. Speaking of which, besides the Geng Gold he obtained from Supreme Master Ziyang and others, in addition to what was surrendered by the Mulan people, after returning from Tianyi City, Han Li had actually leveraged the power of the Heavenly Dao Alliance to help him find another small piece. In this way, he had more than enough to incorporate into the 36 flying swords. Adding materials to an already refined magic treasure was not a particularly complex or difficult task, but to do it in just over 1 month, to accomplish these things, seemed a bit rushed. Han Li could only give it his all. Only by mastering even a small part of the Great Geng Sword Formation could he stand against late-stage Nascent Soul cultivators, had a fighting chance, and that man who cast the soul sealing curse on Nangong Wan, the man in the black robe, in all likelihood, must be that sect master of the Ying Luo sect. He had to get the method to break the curse from him. This small, incomplete set of the Great Geng Sword Formation was his trump card to deal with him. Thinking of this, Han Li reached out and took a storage pouch from his waist and tossed it into the air. Then, after a radiant glow flashed from the pouch's opening, those few rhizomes of varying sizes appeared on the ground at his feet. Then, from another storage pouch, he took out the auxiliary materials and placed them on the ground as well. Han Li sat down cross-legged and immediately pointed at the smallest rhizome. This pale golden raw ore immediately floated up and slowly flew towards Han Li. Han Li watched without blinking. When it flew 3 feet in front of him and hovered motionlessly, he formed a hand seal with both hands and spat a puff of dazzling, clear light from his mouth. With a soft pop, the cyan puff of light struck the rhizome ore, instantly enveloping it completely. A sound like a heavy downpour slowly began to echo from his mouth. The cyan flame immediately flared up even more intensely. The firelight suddenly surged higher. The raw ore floating within the flames began to slowly melt. Han Li's expression grew solemn. He stared intently at the object, without even blinking once. After a full hour had passed, most of the impurities had melted into a milky white liquid, dripping onto the ground below. The foundation, ore, had become a semi-transparent substance. Its volume had also shrunk to less than half its original size. Seeing this, Han Li flicked his wide sleeve, casually sweeping up a jade box from the ground. The lid of the box instantly opened on its own, revealing the shimmering silver powder within. The powder immediately transformed into a silver serpent, shooting itself into the transparent liquid floating in the air. A golden light flared brilliantly, and the semi-transparent liquid emitted a vast, silvery radiance. Then, Han Li cast several incantation seals in succession, which sank into the liquid and vanished without a trace. Instantly, a peculiar scene unfolded. The transparent liquid began to split on its own, bit by bit. Transforming, it unexpectedly formed 6 thumb-sized silver pearls. Spinning slowly in midair, Han Li took a deep breath, and suddenly bit the tip of his tongue. He spat out a mouthful of blood essence. As soon as the blood essence touched the surface of these beads, it was all absorbed without a single drop remaining. The beads immediately changed color, turning golden yellow, as if they were forged from pure gold. Seeing this, Han Li's spirits were lifted. He opened his mouth again. A cyan ray of light shot out. It then circled once before stopping in front of Han Li. It was a hazy cyan miniature sword, about an inch in size, shimmering with a spiritual glow. Han Li pointed a finger at a golden bead formed from Geng metal. The golden bead instantly turned into a streak of golden light, shooting straight at the small sword. It then melted and enveloped it, spreading evenly across the surface of the flying sword. Instantly, the small sword became dazzlingly golden and brilliantly eye-catching. Han Li raised his eyebrows and pointed at the ground a few more times. Several kinds of auxiliary materials flew onto the flying sword one by one, and strangely merged into it. Then Han Li beckoned to the flying sword again. The sword instantly flew into his palm. With a soft sizzle, a ball of cyan flame appeared out of thin air, enveloping the flying sword within it. Han Li slowly closed his eyes and began the refining process by controlling the flame with his spiritual sense. Only when the refined steel, infused with essence blood, is completely fused as one with the flying sword, becoming completely inseparable, can the refining process be considered complete. Time passed day by day. Han Li was in the secret chamber, refining them one by one. The azure bamboo clouds warm swords, without taking even a moment's rest. If it were not for the 10,000-year spirit milk that Han Li possessed, which could promptly restore his depleted spiritual power. In such a short period of time, he truly would not have been able to endure it. Meanwhile, outside the cave residence, as the appointed day with the black-robed person drew near, and Hanli had still not emerged from his cave residence, some of the people who knew about this matter began to grow anxious. Among them, the silver-haired elder was naturally the most anxious, because just yesterday, someone had used a flying sword to deliver a message, delivering a jade slip into the Lu Yun sect. Inside, the precise location for the meeting with Hanli was written. Not only was the terrain there treacherous, but it was also very far from Yunmeng Mountain. If Hanli did not come out of seclusion soon, it would be too late. Just as the silver-haired elder was in the council hall, pacing restlessly in a side hall, Han Li's figure silently appeared at the entrance to the hall.